Alrighty then, let's get into this haves and the have-nots review. Okay, so we start out where we left off last week when Benny flipped the truck with Quincy in it. So Benny gets out of the truck, and then Quincy is trying to get out the truck. Benny essentially drags him out the truck and he starts beating him up. He asks where his nephew is, who is Candace's son, who they call Q. So, of course, Quincy's not going to give up any information. So Benny gets his wallet out of his pocket and finds a picture of Quincy's sister, and I think Q was in the picture with her. So Benny takes Quincy's phone and calls 911. Makes out like he's been in a bad accident, needs help right away. He's pretending to be Quincy. Then he plants the drugs that he got from Warlock on Quincy. So that was his intention all along. Wasn't sure what he was going to do with the drugs, but we saw what he did now. Quincy is laying out there in the road, but by the time the police get there, Quincy has moved out of the way and hid, and he threw the drugs out there. So he's like he knew that Benny planted drugs on him, and he threw them out there on the road, and then he went and hid. Now we go to Candace, and let me just condense all her scenes in one thing. It's basically the same thing all the time with her scenes. Okay, so she's getting on a plane to New York with what's his name, Oscar. So they join the Mile, or she joins the Mile High Club. Apparently, he was already a member. Then we see them get to New York, and she's really not trusting him, but hey, it's New York, so she went with him. I think he's some sort of investment banker, or I forget exactly what he is, but he says that he's working with this company. These companies that are going to merge, and they're going to have a huge return in the next few months, and she thinks that he wants her $50,000 in savings to invest in. He's saying, well, the fuel for the plane ride costs that much. I don't want your money. And she tries to get the password to his phone. Clearly, he's going to say no, and she's not giving up hers, and all of that. And he keeps trying to convince her he's legit. End up going to the theater, and she really had a sort of 40s movie star thing going on there. Like Lana Turner or somebody like that. And she's still not trusting him even after the carriage ride in the park. And so that was the gist of their scene. Now, David and Jeffrey, Jeffrey meets him at the campaign office in David's little part of the office, and he gives Jeffrey new credit cards, and he's saying that Veronica will come around, and Jeffrey doesn't think she can be helped, and he just wants away from her. Jeffrey suggests that David should be with Maggie because Maggie makes him happy, which I think that part of that reason Jeffrey is saying that is that would hurt Veronica, and he probably wants to stick it to Veronica somewhat because of what she's done to him. Jeffrey just thinks that Veronica's evil, and that David should let her go. David obviously doesn't think that way. He still loves her, and he wants to try to save their marriage and be with her. He thinks that she can be helped, and Jeffrey knows that Veronica cannot be happy unless she's in control, and he drops the bomb about what Veronica did with Melissa, about her blackmailing Melissa's family and all that. And finally, David has to concede that he's never seen Veronica this bad. And Jeffrey, he says David is sorry that Jeffrey is going through all this. Jeffrey just says, "Don't feel sorry for me. Feel sorry for Mom." So he has some compassion for his mother. So now we go to the Cryer Mansion, and Catherine is sorting through Amanda's stuff, and it's obviously difficult for her. So Hannah comes in and offers to help her find what offers to help Catherine find what she's looking for, which is Amanda's diary. So Hannah finds it and she brings it to Catherine out on the lanai, and Catherine starts to read it, and after she reads it, she breaks down and calls Jim, and she says, "Well, it's true about Professor Cannon." And yeah, so Candace was telling the truth, which they already believed that was the truth, because Jim had put some sort of plan in motion to handle Professor Cannon. You know, Jim handles everything. He just says, "Well, I'm handling it. I will handle it." That's his I guess, catchphrase or whatever. And so Maggie has, back at the campaign office, Maggie has managed to spin the fire that Veronica set at her and David's house. She's managed to spin that as a fire caused by a kerosene lamp that was to dry pet stains on Oriental rug. It was some absurd explanation, but she's gotten Veronica out of that, at least with the press. Now again, Maggie is pushing the buttons, trying to get stuff going between David and Veronica. She suggests that Veronica's having an affair. She's like, "Well, usually when one spouse is very jealous and such, they end up having an affair, or they are having an affair." And David's like, "Veronica would never do that. Veronica, never. Like, David, wake up. You don't really know what your wife is capable of. So stop defending her. I mean, if she would try to burn you up in a house, then she would have an affair, which is definitely much worse than trying to commit murder by arson." And he doesn't even think that she tried to burn him up. "She wouldn't have let me burn." That's what he said, and whatever. So Jim comes into work, and Maggie tells them that this television host wants to do an interview with them, with him, and that they are ahead in the polls. Jim agrees to do the one interview, so that was pretty much it with that. So we get to Veronica. She came to the tow yard to see what was going on, and all the while she spotted the car, and all the while the PI that Maggie hired, he's snapping the photos of her, and Veronica leaves Benny a voicemail before she gets in her car and leaves. And then the PI calls Maggie and tells her that Veronica stopped at a tow yard, and Maggie's puzzled as to why she did that. So Veronica keeps on blowing up Benny's phone. She leaves another message. Right after she leaves the message, she calls him again, and she's acting a little bit stalkerish. So I guess Benny just answered the phone like, "What the heck are you doing?" He's not even trying to think about her right now. He's staking out Quincy's neighborhood, where Quincy's sister lives. He's trying to figure out what's going on there. But he answers the phone, and Veronica makes up some lie about, "Oh, well, you didn't sign these papers after you got out of jail, and the judge is going to want you to sign them, or, your release is going to end up on your arrest is going to end up on your record, and you don't want that." So they make some time to sign the papers. It's not as soon as Veronica wants to, but they come up with a date, and he says it just to get her off the phone. So Quincy's sister arrives, and this is just the most hood-looking place you could ever see. People hanging out outside the building. It's like just trash and stuff all over outside. It is the hood. If Veronica didn't like Hannah's neighborhood, she really wouldn't like this one, because Hannah's neighborhood, this one makes Hannah's neighborhood look like Beverly Hills. So Benny goes inside the building and pardon me, but an allergy's going on, pardon me. So he goes inside and he kicks in Quincy's sister's door, and she's going off and yelling and everything. She jumps on Benny's back, but he gets her off him and kind of neutralizes her. She picks up a skillet and she doesn't get to hit him with it, but she's threatening him with it. So he goes in the back room and there are all these kids back there, and Q was one of them. Benny starts to talk to Q, and all the while his hood auntie is in the background, don't listen to him, Q. Don't you listen to him. Don't you listen to him. It was hilarious. So he doesn't remember Benny, but Benny says, I'm gonna take you to your mother, and Q was like, well, my mother doesn't want me, and so that's obviously what Quincy has told him. So Benny manages to get out of there with Q. Quincy's sister still screaming, and don't you take him out here, don't you take him out here. She's still holding the skillet in her hand. So that's where that ends, and in the preview next week, I guess they've okay, no, that's not where it ends. Benny brings Q home, and Hannah's face is just like she's just overcome with joy. It's like tears of joy. So on the preview, we see that I think they've taken Q to the doctor to check him out, and obviously Hannah's gonna be worried that Quincy's gonna get Q back, and so I think we all can't remember all the preview, but I know we see Melissa, and she's going off, and she's just not the nice girl anymore. She's like, well, I can give you a child. That's more than any man could do, because two men can't have a child. So I think she's going to turn out to be as nutty as Veronica. So that's the review for this week. Thanks for watching. This one clocked in shorter than the other one, than my other ones. Because there was stuff going on, but it's a lot more toned down than the last few episodes were. Like last week was quite toned down as well, but this was a shorter review for me. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next week. Deuces.